Happy Monday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, October 2nd, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is the 8 of Pentacles in its reversal. So, as you may have indicated, and as we saw, yesterday was a moment of kind of like just allowing for a point of easement. We had very heavy Sunday vibes coming through yesterday. Not a lot of activity as it relates to some circumstances or situations. And today may be feeling like a little bit of catch up. There may even be some feelings of overwhelm in the situations and circumstances as it relates to your own projects, your own plan, your own work at this time. Now, for energies that are in partnership and union at this moment, this is potentially going to be talking about finding those spaces and places or coming back into taking care of those things that you may have felt that you had to shelve. One of the things that we identified that was potentially happening right now for the partnered energies is the fact that masculine has had to be putting a lot of care and concentration on outside situations and circumstances at this time. This is having a bit of effect on the partnerships themselves because feminine has been feeling like the masculine has been somewhat disconnected from them. This could be a lot of observation right now and confrontation in partnerships at this time to really identify what feels like it is working, what feels like it is not working, but all for the space and place of better productivity at this time. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is working to move into partnership right now, this is a lot of that blockage and hurdle that we identified yesterday. Masculine and feminine energy trying to come into partnership may even be feeling like they're coming to a bit of a stalemate or an impasse because there's something here that each is asking the other for and they're not necessarily seeing. Both masculine and feminine are effectively asking the other person to give this forth, to give them validation to continue forward at this time. And I've been stressing for the energy in this vibration, the significance and importance in being able to give what you are trying to get back at this time. Making sure that that mirroring and that reflectiveness is moving from a state of positivity instead of moving into a place of detriment. Now, for masculine and feminine energy in separation at this time, this is more of that stagnancy that we've been effectively seeing that has been coming into play. As we mentioned right now, feminine energy in separation is kind of going into a point of allowing for a level or degree of rest at this time. Feminine energy is at a point right now where they're identifying that they're not necessarily feeling ready to move forward into new partnerships opportunities, but at the same time, they know that they do not want to go back. This is creating a little bit of listlessness in this energy right now as they try to navigate and figure out the best path forward for themselves at this time. While for masculine that is in separation at this time, this is effectively you mirroring the feminine that is in separation. For the masculine that effectively chose autonomy, we did identify that you've hit a little bit of a roadblock, recognizing that you need to potentially make some adjustments as it relates to how you move forward at this time, because something that you were doing or you have now identified wasn't effectively working in your best interest, specifically because it wasn't working in the best interest of the partnerships in general. This could be you doing a lot more of this work today and unpacking what wasn't working so that you could come into better productivity as it relates to relationship and partnership going forward. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now, the masculine energy that is trying to move back towards feminine energy, trying to identify if that energy would be open and receptive to this. This is also that feeling of anxiety, of having the uncertainty about what you are trying to do, whether it is going to be effective. We did see that there was a lot of lack of confidence that we're seeing that the masculine is employing right now, specifically because there's a point of recognition that whatever you're trying to bring forth to a feminine in this way, it could either make or break something. It's either going to create a receptive environment of openness at this time, or it's going to furtherly build up on an abandonment wound. The masculine in this energy is potentially feeling like they're caught in a bit of a limbo point at this time, and this uncertainty is effectively coming into play more today. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, second card in our 5-card spread for today. We have here the Lovers. So where is some of this conflict coming from? Well, again, depending on where you are, it is around partnership or it is being supported by partnership. In partnership right now, what we're effectively seeing is any blockages as it relates to productivity, activity. This is almost potentially a lot of this externalized work that needs to be adjusted and amended. We are seeing here that one of the things that was identified yesterday or over the last few days for the energy that is in partnership at this time has been some observation of some external factors that are affecting the actual partnership itself. For masculine and feminine energy, this is effectively potentially identifying in partnership what does not work, even what is not working external to the partnership, but all with the security and stability of the partnership, helping to come up with better solutions, better outcomes, better plans moving forward. Now, For masculine and feminine energy right now that is trying to move into partnership, this is more of that make or break energy that we are effectively seeing that has been coming into play. For masculine and feminine right now, this is an observation point. You are watching the other energy to see if they have this level or degree of an ability to move in this function or fashion, specifically because you are keeping your focus on the outcome or the desire that you are trying to achieve at this time, meaning divine union, divine partnership. This is a point, though, that these energies and these situations could feel like they are at a bit of a flux because both energies are not necessarily seeing what they would ideally desire from the other, and they're waiting for the other one to take action to help encourage and enforce that this is possible right now. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation at this time, this is more of conflict or conversation to oneself as it relates to partnership in this moment. As we've been identifying for the feminine energy in separation at this time, this is more of that listlessness that we're effectively seeing. This is the reason, because feminine energy, it is not from a lack or desire to want to put in work to be able to move into divine union. But this is more of that energy that we identified coming through yesterday with the feminine that is effectively understood and resolved, that there is a limitation to what feminine can effectively do and what feminine can effectively achieve in order to create partnership energy. This is basically showing the fact of an feminine energy that feels like they've done everything they can leading up to a certain point, and the rest is effectively out of their hands. Feminine energy that is moving in this vibration is keeping this as their focal point. They're remembering that this is their aspiration, that this is what they are trying to manifest. And they're feeling the frustration and anxiety around the fact that there may be some areas that they were hoping to achieve this in, but there's effectively not more that they can do unless they see it coming back in kind. Now, for masculine energy that is in separation at this point, what we're effectively identifying is this is also a moment that you are putting a lot of care and contemplation into divine partnership and divine union at this time. For masculine energy, again, we are seeing two different places that we are seeing that is coming through on this right now. This is either masculine energy that is in separation, that is recognizing that there is something that you need to effectively adjust or amend about your own behavior, about your own path going forward, helping you to be able to find that energy that's in divine union or divine partnership. Even for the energy right now that is making the choice to remain in a level or degree of their own autonomy, there is still a lot of conversation that one is having with oneself at this moment as to what an ideal situation would look like at this time. Even holding and maintaining the autonomy that the masculine is especially potentially aspiring for if they're choosing to hold on to their autonomy at this moment. More for the masculine going through this right now, this is that point of observation of really trying to ask how one can achieve it. You could even be experiencing and acknowledging that something about the way you've been doing something has been moving you away from your goal instead of closer to it. But it is creating a little bit of this recalibration within as you try to figure out the best path forward. But it's taking that point of observation on what you haven't been doing that's been resulting in what you haven't been hoping to achieve. Now, for the other part of the masculine collective right now, the masculine energy right now that is moving, trying to move towards divine union or partnership with outside energy. This is that moment that we are again seeing. Masculine was at this same place yesterday. There are some situations now where masculine is either asking themselves, is there this capability of fixing something? Is this available to them? Is this something that they are ready to achieve or ready to undertake? Because we see here that there is a huge focus on the partnership itself, the desired partnership, but how to facilitate it is the crux. Center card for today's spread is, oh gosh, that's way too many cards. All right, we're going to read all of them because we got 4 cards coming out right now. This is creating a lot of conflicting energy here is what we're really seeing. And it will feel very different depending on where you are on the partnership cycle and whether you're aligned to feminine or masculine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, there is this moment that is feeling somewhat chaotic. There could even be a moment in partnership right now where you feel like there is almost like a little bit of a crisis point happening. And the crisis point that we are effectively observing and experiencing right now has to do with some feelings or states of overwhelm at this time. You will recall that I pointed out for the energy that's in partnership, there was a bit of putting things off, a little bit of procrastination that effectively happened yesterday as you allowed some of those outside priorities to take dominance. This could be feeling right now some of the pressure of some of those things that you put off and feeling like you have to balance between a lot of different modalities at this time. One of the other problems that could be effectively happening right now has to do potentially with the obligations of the energy and partnership, and not necessarily feeling like those energies or those obligations are in alignment. Rather than having those unified goals at this time, it could be feeling like you're trying to juggle a lot. And this is creating a state or place that could be feeling like a bit of frustration in partnership at this moment, because it's the acknowledgement right now that the obligations might not necessarily be in sync or in harmony. This is not surprising to see, because we did see and we did observe that even for the partnered energies last week, there was a feeling that both energies were not necessarily moving together, just moving around one another, meaning that the masculine was dealing with a lot of outside obligations. Feminine was relying a lot with their circle of support to give them a bit of that bolstering while the masculine did so. For the masculine and feminine energy today in partnership, I would also say be very careful of triggers today, because this is very triggering energy that we're potentially seeing coming into play right now. But a lot of these triggers can be moved and applied into positive spaces and places, specifically by identifying what feels like it is a hurdle that gives back in kind versus anything that feels like it is too challenging and not returning back in kind. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is moving into partnership at this moment, this is more of that huge trigger point that we are seeing that is effectively coming into play right now. We've been seeing that these two energies have been reaching a point of almost like a buildup, if you will, specifically because both energies are mirroring one another right now. Masculine is looking to feminine, asking feminine to be vulnerable, potentially even questioning if feminine is going to open up to the level and degree that masculine would especially desire and aspire to get into divine union. Feminine is looking for masculine to take very decisive action based on what they told them from a point of vulnerability. For both energies right now, this is a moment that feels like a bit of that make or break that we're effectively seeing, because what we're really identifying at this time is those two energies are effectively looking at each other and they're feeling like they have two different priorities, that they have two different goals, that they're not necessarily unifying so much as it's starting to feel more like a push and a pull. And this is that moment that is feeling like it could kind of start to be feeling like it's not moving in the right direction, because it's becoming very difficult, and that difficulty is persisting. It's not reaching a resolution point. It's feeling like it's a bit ongoing. So this is almost starting to feel like this is a moment that it's someone asking you to accept something as opposed to correct something, which is where we're seeing that some of this feeling of potential disaster or trying to avert disaster is effectively rising right now. I'm going to say this again for the energies that are trying to move into partnership. Make sure that you are giving back what you are asking to receive. That is how we're going to make sure that you are unifying in terms of your goals right now. A lot of this work is going to kind of shape whether this is something that becomes a correction point or if it creates another segmentation. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation right now, this is like that feeling of anxiety or frustration that is coming into play. Feminine energy is in a modality right now that they do not like this feeling, that they feel like there is a point of chaos that has come into their life right now. Specifically, because what we are effectively identifying is, again, this is a feminine that feels like they are being forced to move forward when they would prefer not to. They would rather have the masculine effectively join them where they are on the journey right now. But feminine is also recognizing right now that they can't necessarily go back to masculine energy that is asking them to move off of their own aligned path in order to build a point of union. This is that moment that, again, the feminine energy may even be feeling some of that pull today, feeling like you're being balanced or pulling back and forth, because this is the feminine energy feeling that desire or that this dysregulation between determining whether to move forward into the future or go back to situations and circumstances. But again, both of these situations don't feel like they are positives for the feminine, because they're not those spaces or places of productivity. This is creating more of that limbo feeling for the feminine energy that's going through this right now. For the feminine energy in separation right now that's experiencing this, I'd like you to remember that this too shall pass. Allowing yourself that point of patience, of easement, is going to effectively help you at this moment, and especially making sure that you're not moving from a state or place of anxiety or reactivity, but really setting your intentions is going to be very important as you proceed forward from this point. Now, for masculine energy that's in separation, this is going to feel like a bit more of a personal crisis. This is going to feel like a lot of heavy energy today, potentially as it relates in separation for masculine right now. For the masculine energy in separation right now, again, there's potentially, for the masculine energy was effectively trying to choose their autonomy above all things. That was that higher purpose that you were moving to. You have suddenly realized that there may be something a little bit counterintuitive between what you're effectively saying that you desire versus what it is that you actually want. Why are we saying that? Because we saw that over the last week, this was a masculine energy that effectively chose their own autonomy, but then did not find any peace or comfort in the autonomy that they effectively chose. You're effectively trying to determine right now how to move forward, masculine, but in a place or space where you're needing to articulate on what it is that you're actually looking for. Because what you're effectively recognizing, potentially masculine energy, is that you're not effectively seeking autonomy. You're seeking something very specific in partnership, and it's making you have to go through this back and forth within oneself because you don't want to necessarily move back in the same direction that you did and introduce in further disaster or further conflict. However, it's creating this moment that you're not necessarily taking a lot of action right now because it's requiring you to do this internal journeying. It's requiring you to get to the heart of something so that you can articulate it, because a need that is articulated is a need that can be granted. Now, for the other part of the masculine collective right now, if you have chosen or you're moving right now or trying to move towards a divine feminine that you would aspire for union for, this is more of that deep sense of conflict that is also coming into play. Because what we're effectively identifying right now is while you have divine partnership as your goal right now, you may even have your heart's desire that you are setting yourself for, that you would like to have this divine union with, it's the achieving of the desire right now that is feeling like such a tremendous hurdle. There's something here again that this may be masculine energy that was under the presumption that something about time was going to allow for a point of easement over things. And instead, you may be acknowledging and understanding right now that whatever time that you thought would ease something over actually did quite the opposite. It hasn't effectively fixed anything. It's just kind of allowed something to perpetuate in the same place that you may have left it. This is effectively a moment right now that is feeling like a bit of conflict at this time, because masculine energy is effectively wanting to move towards something right now, but they're very worried that by moving towards it, they're not going to effectively find the divine union that they're seeking. They may just be feeling right now that point of observation or fear that they're just going to bring in more crisis energy, or it's going to be observed as that. This is why the masculine energy is in this moment of feeling like they are caught in limbo, because this is effectively masculine energy looking at something that they want to move towards right now and having to see just like a gauntlet of hurdles, some self-created, that they would now have to traverse to be able to move closer towards that thing. Now, fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here our 3 of Swords. So dealing right now with a lot of heavy energy for all energies in or out of partnership, even the partnered energies right now. There is a feeling or an observation of having to deal with some level or degree of pain, of difficulty, of trauma. Feminine energy has been unpacking this. We've been seeing this. Feminine energy has been unpacking this for about a week right now, potentially in partnership, but not towards masculine, which may be a bit of that problem. This is something that the feminine's been carrying with themselves to a certain level or degree, specifically because they saw that the masculine was so overtasked or so overburdened right now. Masculine in partnership right now, this could be you having also effectively had to carry some of this, specifically because you've been overtasked and overburdened. For masculine and feminine energy right now in partnership, there could be a mutual feeling of feeling like you're trying to navigate a lot of chaos, trying to find something that feels easier as you proceed forward from this point. But there's something here that feels like it is very difficult, potentially in the partnered energies, because it feels like your obligations are misaligned right now, that you're effectively having to juggle between different modalities, which is creating, again, a sense of ungroundedness and potential chaos right now in the partnership itself. There's also potentially a feeling in these partnerships right now, there may even be a feeling that there's not much that you can do about it at this moment. We identified, especially for the masculine last week, that there was a feeling about some things that were effectively out of your hands, or feeling like they were out of your hands. So this is going to give a lot of energy today in partnership of feeling like you're weathering a storm. Okay, the partnership is the ship, and you're going to be feeling like you're weathering a storm, and you're just trying to kind of give each other support in the process. The problem is, you guys might even be feeling right now like trying to weather the storm by pointing the ship in two different directions. Now, masculine and feminine energy coming into partnership right now. This is more of that trigger point I'm going to warn you about that we saw was coming through over the last day or so. As we saw, masculine and feminine are mirroring each other right now. Feminine is asking masculine to take action on situations and circumstances that they opened up to the feminine on. Masculine is looking to feminine, asking feminine to open up in the same way that masculine had to for the feminine. This is a moment that is, again, creating a point of crisis, almost like a bit of stalemate energy, as one looks to the other and says, go ahead, you first, no, you first, no, you first. And there's a lot of this push-pull that we're seeing because something doesn't feel like you're moving in harmony right now, potentially. It's the moment that feels like you guys have different priorities and you're trying to get one or the other to go in the direction that you would ideally desire. If you're feeling this like this right now, it's potentially creating some sense of frustration or heartbreak at this moment because it's some kind of observation that's potentially happening in the partnership in feeling like your goals are not unified, i.e. not moving in a space of divine partnership at this time. For the energy experiencing this right now, I'm going to remind you to be open and to try to unify and compromise, to go forward on your goals, to be able to achieve that aspect of divine union. Now, for masculine and feminine energy and separation right now, this is just dealing with heartbreak. Feminine energy, this is, again, you are in a healing cycle right now if you are in separation. We're potentially seeing right now, feminine, that there's something that you want to move towards at this time, but you are recognizing that to move towards it in that capacity would not necessarily bring the healing that you would effectively desire. The feminine energy does not want to move towards a manifestation of masculine that does not desire union with them. But the feminine energy may still be feeling a level or degree of desire or need towards that energy right now, which is where we're seeing this point of heartbreak, because this is creating a moment where the feminine does not want to effectively move forward because they're still in this feeling, but they don't also want to go backwards. So for the feminine right now, having to bear or carry a lot of this weight today may be requiring a lot of work in the realms of self-care. And you could be feeling like you're zipping back and forth between modalities of wanting to go back, wanting to go forward, wanting to go back, wanting to go forward, but all for the sense of trying to orient and not move from a point of reactivity and welcoming in further crisis. Now, for masculine energy right now that is effectively in separation, this is also more of that personal crisis that we're effectively seeing at this time. For some of the masculine energy that chose autonomy above all things, this is that moment that you may have recognized that you chose something, and now that you have it, you don't necessarily like it. It's not creating the same level or degree of comfort that you thought that you aspired to. It's making you have to refine on what it is that you're looking for. The point of observation that's effectively potentially happening right now for the masculine energy that chose autonomy is recognizing that you actually don't desire autonomy. You're looking for some kind of very specific connection as it relates to divine union right now, and you're feeling the push and pull as you try to decide and determine what that effectively looks like. You're doing this right now so that you can articulate upon it because you want to avoid the disaster that you may have effectively be moving away from right now. Some point of observation and recognizing the way that you are articulating yourself or moving in the past was not getting you to the divine union that you would effectively aspire to at this point. This is creating a bit of a heavy heartbreak right now for masculine energy in this modality because this is feeling like very difficult work. It could even be feeling the anxiety of feeling that what you are looking or seeking is so specific that it may be very hard to find. And that's that moment that feels like the weight of that is something that feels like a great burden to carry at this time. While for the other part of the masculine collective that is moving or trying to move to divine union with feminine, this is effectively you looking at the gauntlet. This is potentially even you having a moment of understanding, wanting to move into divine union right now, but recognizing now all of the hurdles that are potentially standing between you coming back into union with a particular energy. And this is a moment that is also carrying a huge amount of heartbreak at this time, because what we're really identifying is, again, you are still feeling the pull towards this connection and this energy, and you're now in a space of desiring union. But this is a moment of having to fully assess and take accountability of everything that may come into play were you to try to move towards it. And it is a lot of heavy energy here because masculine is now effectively like re-experiencing a point of heartbreak from something that they effectively walked away from that didn't effectively hurt when they walked away from it because they didn't think it was a closure point. But now they're starting to see with some different optics that it may in fact have been. Or it's going to take a lot of work to reconnect or or clear some of this unhealed karmic energy. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here the Moon card. We love to see this card in its reversal because this is effectively showing us how we are getting to a point of easement today. For all energies, the solution right now is honesty, is openness, is clarity. For partnered energies right now, this is having a moment of potentially looking and making some hard decisions or facing some hard truths at this time. Having this moment and degree of really seeing things clearly, but also identifying that there's something here that feels like it is painful, feels like it is difficult. The masculine and feminine energy in partnership are navigating this by almost a mutual recognition of the difficulties and hurdles. This openness is allowing for a point of healing at this time. While for masculine and feminine energy that are moving into partnership at this time, this is the solution. This is the only solution to the problem. Because masculine and feminine energy feel like they are getting truth in this moment. The question is that truth coming from the direct actions or openness that is being expressed from the other energy? Or is it coming from a space of observation? We even identified that for some of these energies, some of the collective was doing this like little bit of circumventing, not going to the heart of the matter, but instead looking around at someone to try to draw their own conclusions. This is the masculine and feminine energy who are trying to move into partnership at this time, observing the other one. And again, either immediately having that expression, that openness that creates the possibility of the partnership and the divine union, or someone recognizing that what someone is saying and what they are doing feel like they are two different things. And that could be the truth that some of the energy is taking into account right now that may be feeling like it is a bit heartbreaking. For these energies right now, again, we are seeing a point of separation between whether these energies are going to be coming into divine union right now, or if this is going to be another breakaway point. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is facing the hard truths of circumstances and situations, and they are very hard to bear. Feminine, there's a point right now that you are recognizing that you need to move forward with a sense of heartbreak at this time. It's not something that is going to be healed easily, specifically because, again, for the feminine, there's a feeling of being kind of forced to be in this position karmically right now. Having, again, to move away from something that you would desire because it's requiring you to relinquish your own sense of integrity or your own path in order to move towards it. For the feminine energy right now, again, I will point out, for some of them, this could be a trigger point if you're not holding on to your true manifestations at this time, because this could even be surrendering and going back to circumstances and situations, even while facing the harsh reality of that. While for the other part of the feminine collective right now, this is effectively you moving away from something, choosing that higher path for yourself at this moment, not effectively relinquishing your desire for divine union at this time, but also carrying the heartbreak as you do so. While for masculine energy that's in separation at this point, we are effectively seeing that this is more of that internal journeying that you're currently having at this time. Masculine right now, again, if you are moving from a state or place or holding your autonomy above all else, you're now seeing it from a much different way. You're potentially even recognizing right now that that autonomy isn't actually what you want, because you've been in a space of it for about a week and you're recognizing that it's not something that's great. You're already feeling the pull or the desire to be in some type of union scenario. The problem for the masculine in this modality right now is you're trying to articulate to yourself what it is that you truly want, because you even had potentially an opportunity for partnership and you said that you chose your level or degree of autonomy at this time. So trying to articulate this is having you face a lot of truths about yourself to try to get to the heart of what it is that you're seeking at this time. And it's somewhat heartbreaking. It's hard work. It's heavy. There's some anxiety about whether you'll be able to find it because you're building such a specific list of intentionality as it relates to what partnership is. You may even be recognizing that there is a bit of a paradox occurring between what it is that you say that you want versus what it is that you truly want. And that is also creating a moment right now of this feeling like a lot of weight that you're carrying at this time. While for the other part of the masculine energy right now, this is a moment that if you're trying to move back towards energy that you are desiring divine union with, there's something here about you really getting the full clarity of something right now. The optics are here. You were even potentially doing a little bit of exploring last week to try to identify the circumstances and situations around some of that energy instead of just coming towards them directly. For some of the masculine energy right now, we are seeing that this is effectively leading to one of two different modalities. This is either masculine energy coming into a point of surrender, not being ready to be open, not really being ready to even take the risk to confront that energy, to find out where they stand, how things are between you and that karmic. This is a moment that you're effectively just recognizing and allowing the truth around some circumstances and situations to come to fold. And this is the truth of one's own self and one's own inability to want to be able to repair this, or feeling like this isn't something that is possible or accessible to you. This is a lot of heaviness that you're carrying. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is a brave space that you're potentially starting to move into right now. This is the opposite. This is you potentially seeing a gauntlet before you and deciding to run into it. Deciding to say, I got this. Okay, I see that I see the fact that this is going to be difficult, that this is going to be challenging. And masculine energy in this modality goes, that's okay. I don't care. I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to take this chance. Because you recognize the truth on the situation and you feel that it would be better to come forward from a space of truth as it relates to the feeling that you have in your heart, as opposed to walking away. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Eight of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Lover's card. So for masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership right now, this is a lot of assessing right now as it relates to feeling some points of frustration, as it relates to potentially external obligations and the work that you're doing and the partnership itself. This is a lot of the work that we saw happening yesterday. And for the other energies right now, this is about partnership. This is specifically as it relates to how partnership works going forward. We have here our 10 of Pentacles in its reversal. You'll recall this card was upright yesterday. This is a fact that we saw that for partnered energies, there was even a moment of potentially moving away from some obligations, just allowing yourself to have some things that you addressed that required you to put some things on the shelf. These are those things coming back off the shelf today and feeling like they may be a bit overwhelming. This is potentially having to navigate chaos that feels like it's existing outside of the partnership itself. That's potentially even creating some challenging spaces as it relates to trying to do the things that you're trying to do at this time. But again, being supported in partnership right now is what's helping you navigate these spaces and places. Energy right now that is moving into partnership, this is more of that make or break energy. Because what we're seeing is the fact that there's something here that is feeling like a combining effort of difficulties, challenging the possibility of union at this time. Because for the masculine and feminine that are mirroring each other right now, trying to come into partnership, there's potentially an observation in feeling like you're not getting the results. You're not seeing the other energy do the things that you want them to do right now. And you're potentially even reusing your optics to look around at that energy to get some clarification on whether they're able to do it. And you're not necessarily seeing either space being productive. So this is a lack of clarity as it relates to what you're seeing around an energy that's giving you pause, as well as an energy's own ability to take action on what you're asking them for, that is really kind of building this make or break moment for the energy that is effectively trying to come into partnership right now to help decide, do you show the ability of doing this? Or is this just a space, a place of more smoke and mirrors, more chaos, more confusion? This is what these two energies are trying to navigate right now. Now for masculine energy and feminine that are in separation, this is a lot of that self-journeying that's occurring. Feminine, this is why we see this point of stagnancy to a certain extent. We are identifying the fact that you are feeling like you are caught between a rock and a hard place, because while you are committed not to go back to circumstances or situations right now that are not necessarily aligned to your path, you also don't necessarily feel like there's a desire to go forward right now. And that's the point, because again, you're trying to focus as it relates to your manifestation of divine union at this time. It's creating a challenging space for the feminine energy in this vibration. Having a lot of care and attention to yourself today, feminines, as you work through healing, working to continue to manifest this idea of divine union is going to be important, because for some of the feminine energy right now, it's challenging your own hope that that is something that is possible at this time. Okay? While for masculine energy right now that is in separation, this is also a moment that you are going through a point of personal identity, like personal work, deep, heavy personal work, and it can be feeling very, very heavy right now. Specifically because if this is masculine energy right now that is trying to hold their autonomy to a certain extent, this is also an observation in the fact that the way you're doing it was not necessarily effective. You're even potentially recognizing at this point that it's not actually autonomy that you want, just something very, very specific and refined as it relates to union. or divine union at this time. And this is requiring a lot of internal work, masculine, and is creating a sense of listlessness because you're trying to figure this out within before you look for it without. While for the masculine energy right now that is moving towards feminine energy, that you are identifying or trying to calibrate or trying to go back to some energy that you now are recognizing is your aspiration for divine union, this is now looking at where you potentially left something. This is you observing how many difficulties, how many hurdles, how something that you effectively did not put the effort and energy in the past has not necessarily repaired itself in the time in between. It's effectively just made it worse. It's made it difficult. It's made it harder. There's more challenges now that are bringing you into the space of potentially connecting back with this energy. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Lovers in combination with Hangman, in combination with Tower, in combination with Two of Pentacles, in combination with the World. So for all energies right now, a lot of chaotic energy all around the partnerships. If you are in partnership right now, this is navigating a lot of external chaos and feeling like your obligations are pulling you in different directions. If you're working to come into partnership right now, this is the challenge of looking at something and asking if this is something that can actually be corrected for, because it's starting to go in the wrong direction. It's starting to feel like it's creating chaos. It's starting to feel like it's reaching a breaking point. While for separation energies right now, this is managing the internal chaos that you're currently experiencing with a focus on what divine union looks like for you going forward. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Justice in its reversal. Balance is key right now. Maintaining and upholding a point of balance is going to be extremely important today. Even for the partnered energies, trying to find this sense of balance, both internally and within the partnership. There could even be a lot of discussions right now as it relates to fairness or as it relates to give and take, even in partnership at this time, because there's a feeling that we're seeing of two energies feeling like you're pulling in different directions, not necessarily working or moving in union or harmony at this moment, and is creating a sense of crisis instead of unity. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is working towards partnership, it is potentially a lot of work right now in identifying what doesn't feel fair. As we saw for the energies working on partnership at this moment, there potentially could be a lot of, as I said, making sure you get what you give, but there could even be an articulation that is happening right now on what one finds is fair and equal, and what that looks like, because this could be speaking right now about two energies that have different opinions on what balance looks like. For some of the masculine and feminine energy right now, this could be, again, a bit of a breakaway point that we're seeing for the energies that we're trying to come into union and partnership, in potentially identifying something that's giving some observation that it is not healed, that it is still imbalanced. For the other part, it is the observation and recognition of the imbalance and working to correct it that actually is going to lead to a place of productivity going forward. Now, for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is effectively having to feel this level or degree of imbalance personally, which is why this energy is going to feel very heavy today. Specifically, for the feminine energy, we are seeing right now that there's a deep point of crisis, because what we are seeing right now, and this is why, there's a point right now where feminine energy is recognizing that this desire and this aspiration for divine union is effectively causing a lot of these feelings of crisis at this time, because effectively it's forcing you to have to stay away from something that you would desire not to stay away from. It's forcing you to effectively try to move towards something that you can't effectively see at this moment. It's feeling like a point of unfairness, because all you're truly trying to aspire for right now is a divine union. The problem is you're not seeing the divine union ahead of you because you're lacking the energy to move towards it, and you're not seeing it behind you even though you wish it was there, with some energy that's not giving you the indication that they're ready for a divine union. Feminine energy is dealing with the feeling of injustice or unfairness as it relates to how you're feeling today. So again, for feminine energy and separation, I want you to work really hard on a sense of balance. Focus on what you're trying to manifest at this moment. While for masculine energy in separation at this time, what we're effectively seeing is, again, a point of personal crisis that you are navigating. For the masculine energy that dealt with a point of recognizing that you chose autonomy over partnership, this could be a moment of really asking yourself what it is you truly want, because something that you may be identifying over the last few days is you don't actually want autonomy. You don't actually want autonomy, but you're trying to articulate on what it is you actually want without creating a sense of crisis in your life. And this is creating a point of imbalance because it's recognizing masculine spaces and places that you need to figure out points of balance. You may even be acknowledging today, masculine, that something that you are asking for doesn't seem fair to you. And if it doesn't seem fair to you, how can you effectively ask it from an outside energy? For the other part of the masculine collective right now, what we're effectively seeing is, again, personal journeying right now, but again, trying to move back towards what you may consider your heart's desire at this point. The problem is for the masculine energy trying to do this at this moment is you may see a lot of hurdles and challenges there. You may be feeling like there's something here that you're not necessarily sure how to proceed. You're weighing your options. You're looking at all of the difficulty. And again, for some of the masculine energy right now, this is going to feel too daunting. It's going to require too much vulnerability. You're going to potentially decide that you cannot correct for that imbalance. For the other part of the masculine energy, you're effectively seeing that gauntlet and you're just rushing forward anyway. This is that moment that you're just driving yourself forward to correct the imbalance. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between. This is some heavy energy today, guys. I want everyone to be very kind to themselves today, because between all of these cards are Hangman, Two of Pentacles, World in its reversal, and the Tower, and the Three of Swords. So dealing right now with a lot of frustration, dealing with a lot of sense of crisis, doing a lot of work to balance this out right now. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Hierophant in its reversal. So what is the partnered energies doing right now to help remediate this? What are they effectively doing? Well, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this is related to actually taking some unconventional approaches to things. This is effectively a moment that is requiring you to effectively think outside of the box in order to come to a point of harmony. This could be, again, looking at circumstances and situations, taking alternative approaches, having different consideration points. Potentially, again, for some of the energy right now that's in partnership, maybe even having a point of recognizing that you have overtasked yourself and needing to withdraw from outside commitments at this time in order to come into a point of balance. This is more of that work that we've seen as it relates to the partnered energies right now, recalling or pulling back some of their energy right now for the sake of the partnership itself. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that's trying to move into partnership, this is that make or break moment that we're effectively seeing. Because something that both sides are seeing right now is threatening each's opinion as to whether there can actually be a committed partnership here. There could even be a lot of questions right now, and we saw this coming through right now as it relates to partnered energies, trying to identify and articulate where one's priorities lie. For the part energies coming into partnership right now, this is again either a moment that you are taking unconventional approaches to try to solve these circumstances or situations, or this could be a breaking point where you just effectively move away from this again with some point of acknowledgement, feeling like this is not showing you the optics or the action that you would effectively desire or require in order to be able to have that level or degree of partnership going forward. While for masculine and feminine energy and separation at this time, this is the separation. For feminine right now, and again, this is the problem that we're seeing for the feminine energy in this modality right now. There are one or two different situations that are effectively rising to the surface right now. This is either feminine energy that is, again, keeping their focus right now on their long-term manifestation goal, on that divine partnership energy. That is effectively what you're effectively trying to move towards right now. For the other part of the feminine energy right now, this could be a moment that you are effectively breaking away from that and moving towards the thing that you are effectively missing right now, but acknowledging that you're doing so without any level or degree of commitment being there. So for the feminine right now, again, there's almost like that point right now, and I have to warn for the feminine, make sure that you're moving with a state of intentionality today, because this is either a moment that could move you towards your long-term manifestation goal or towards something that you're recognizing doesn't have that level or degree of commitment in it. While for masculine energy right now that's in separation, this is that work that you're having internally at this time. For the masculine energy in separation at this moment, again, this is either a masculine energy that is in a point of autonomy, chose autonomy, but is now recognizing that they don't desire autonomy. And so what you're effectively doing right now as masculine, you're trying to navigate this space or place that you're feeling right now by recognizing and understanding and articulating what it is that you truly desire, which is taking a moment of having to take some unconventional approaches at this time. You're also recognizing how difficult this is because you're building an idea or experience as it relates to divine partnership that is very nuanced, that isn't going to be for everyone, that you're going to have to kind of articulate that that is the case. And it is creating a space or place right now where you're effectively realizing and recognizing that you're not going to be able to do it by creating the false promise of union. And it's that moment right now for the masculine that is going through this right now that is creating a bit of this shift, because it's requiring the masculine to come to a better degree of understanding on what they want and desire so that they can communicate it in a more open, forthright place going forward. While for masculine right now that is trying to move back towards a feminine energy at this time, that this was masculine energy in separation moving towards a feminine energy, this is that moment of observation that we're effectively seeing at this moment that is feeling like, again, a point of identifying the possibility or potentiality of actually coming back into union with that energy. For some of the masculine energy right now, we're seeing that you're looking towards that feminine energy and you are seeing all of the hurdles, all of the challenges. You are seeing all of the difficulties. You're even seeing the fact that you would have to go to a lot of work right now to correct for a lot of these points of difficulty that you yourself may even recognize experienced or responsible for. And this is that moment that, again, it's either requiring a moment of releasing it, of saying or coming to a point of heartbreak and saying that you don't think that this is something that you can fix, or this is masculine energy continuing forward in that capacity. Being willing to take those unconventional approaches, being willing to do whatever is effectively necessary right now with the firm commitment of feeling like they would rather take that chance. They would rather take that opportunity to try to mend something as opposed to abandoning something. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Swords in combination with our Moon card in its reversal. So, working through heartbreak, but also truth coming to the forefront. May I please have one card to clarify? Love this clarification coming through right now with our Magician energy. So, what we appreciate about this is, again, we are seeing that this is allowing for a level of degree of productivity coming through right now. Where are we seeing that productivity coming through? It is coming through in terms of seeing things clearly. That something about this right now, while there may be some feelings of heartbreak that you're carrying right now or some deeper wounds, there's an observation of those wounds that is helping you face the hard truths around some circumstances and situations at this moment. For all energies at play, partnership, outside of partnership, trying to come into partnership right now, it is how you choose to navigate that space that is effectively going to be the make or break point at this time. Again, partnered energies right now, you are utilizing this point of trying to understand, get to that point of clarity, holding a lot of this room for the difficulties you're experiencing to be able to function and operate as effectively as possible. Energies that are working right now in partnership or trying to come into partnership, this is effectively looking at something and saying, do you have the ability to be open? Do you have the ability to be honest and act upon it? Or are we going to continue hurting one another? Are we going to continue to create heartbreak? Are we going to continue to create difficulty? That is all is really what we're seeing is going to kind of allow the partner, the energies trying to come into partnership right now, to have that point of easement. And it comes from clarity and activation. This is effectively the two different things that the masculine and the feminine are asking from each other that they need to see each one reflecting. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is that point that is helping you navigate going forward. As we saw right now, for feminine, there's almost a choice that's happening right now in the collective, because for feminine right now, this is feminine either looking at a situation, acknowledging the heartbreak around it and also the truth of it, and choosing how to move forward. For some of the feminine energy right now, there could even be a moment that you're accepting the circumstances and situations as they are. You may be moving away from the possibility of moving into divine partnership at this time, simply choosing the reality of a situation that would effectively make you have to like move into something that isn't giving that possibility of commitment. For the other part of the feminine energy right now, this is effectively just accepting that you're going to have to move forward with this pain that you're carrying, and accepting the hard truth as you continue to work to manifest that long-term goal that you're trying to create for yourself at this moment. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ten of Pentacles in its reversal and our Justice card here. Heavy energy across the whole collective board right now. Outside points of conflict, feelings of imbalance coming in. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Sun. We love to see this coming into play, because what we're effectively seeing right now is optimism is going to kind of be the word of the day. Again, it's not necessarily the fact that you're going through some circumstances and situations right now that are feeling very chaotic. And yes, that chaos feels like it's creating a sense or place of imbalance right now. The key focal point for all energies right now is to focus on the positive, is to keep one's direction towards what is going well instead of what is not going well. Follow the light and let the shadows fall behind you, my friends. For all energies right now, because again, there could even be a lot of conversation right now in optics as it relates to partnered energies to try to identify and remember that, like, yes, not everything is going perfect, but nothing goes perfect ever. Like, more importantly, it's what you're effectively choosing to focus on, right? And holding on to that level of support and positivity is going to be really important right now in the partnerships themselves. Masculine and feminine trying to come into partnership right now. This is that moment you're trying to see if there's a light at the end of this tunnel. Masculine and feminine energy, it's not even the fact that you're experiencing this conflict point between you both right now. It's trying to see if there's any hope that this could get corrected. That's what we're effectively seeing that these energies are trying to identify right now as it relates to trying to come into this space and place of getting what they're asking for. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is that moment of trying to move forward into a state or space of positivity. Feminine energy at a point of separation right now, you're just feeling the weight of it all today. You're feeling the weight, and what the feminine is feeling right now is feminine is feeling like they're being faced with an impossible choice, as it were. The feminine energy in separation feels like they're being given a choice that every direction feels like a point of conflict. It does not feel fair to the feminine. Feminine doesn't want to move forward in this way. They want to go backwards, but they don't want to go backwards because what they want in the back past isn't what they want. The feminine energy is now trying to navigate this space of feeling here. And how is feminine going to do it? They're going to focus on the positive. They're going to ask themselves, where does their joy lead? What is going to create that sense of joy for them? And that's effectively where we're going to see which direction the feminine now steers towards as it relates to this journey. While for masculine energy right now, you in separation, you are also doing this work right now. The problem is that this isn't moving you either towards or away from someone. This is effectively, again, if you are choosing autonomy at this moment, this is you trying to articulate upon it and understand it enough so that you can articulate it to others, because you've recognized right now, for the masculine going through this, and this is now the crux. Masculine, you're recognizing you need to have a point of adjustment because something about you moving towards your own happiness is not creating happiness for you. It's been creating chaos around you, and it's been creating imbalance. So for the masculine that's trying to maintain a level of degree of autonomy at this time, it is trying to navigate a space and place where you can move towards your own happiness at this moment without creating chaos in the process. While for the masculine energy that is trying to move into divine union at this time, this is effectively, again, having this point of trying to be optimistic. You may be recognizing right now that you're trying to move towards something, and the movement towards it, you're almost seeing the fact now that to even move towards something right now is going to create a sense of chaos. There's going to be a balance that needs to be addressed and restored here. And again, for some of the masculine collective right now, you are effectively deciding that that chaos would not be in the best interest of any of the energy, and you're trying to move forward from a state or space of positivity. For the other part of the masculine energy right now, this is you staying focused on trying to create a path forward through this that's going to lead to a better positive outcome. This is almost you committing yourself to correcting the imbalance, observing it, seeing that it's there, and saying, I'm going to go back, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to make this better. two different sides right now for that masculine energy going through this right now. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between the Justice card in its reversal in combination with our Hierophant in its reversal. So, again, this is a lot of heavy energy today because we're seeing here points of imbalance that are requiring unconventional approaches at the same time. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. We love it. We haven't seen a feminine or masculine card on the table in quite a hot second. We've got some heavy energy, but not really about like personal motivation coming through. So what are we seeing right now? Masculine energy right now and feminine that's working in partnership. One of the things that's really important that's happening right now is the partnership is being supported by a very stable feminine energy. It's not the sense right now. Masculine is appreciating and aspiring this around the partnership. It's not the fact that there aren't some chaotic circumstances and situations that are occurring. It's masculine effectively turning towards feminine and seeing the fact that even in the midst of some things that feel like they are imbalanced or feel like they're requiring unconventional approaches, feminine is holding this level of degree of stability right now. They're kind of like holding down the fort, if you will. And that's creating this sense of like positivity even for the masculine who's going through this right now in partnership. For feminine, this is you effectively stepping into this role. That again, this is a masculine energy that has shown some level or degree of importance, of care, of protectiveness towards a partnership right now. And this is also the moment that for feminine right now, you are continuing to work on building your own stability for the sake of the partnership, even in the wake of trying to navigate some situations and circumstances that feel like they're imbalanced or they feel like they're requiring these unconventional approaches. For masculine and feminine trying to come into partnership at this time, this is more of that make or break energy. Masculine right now, you are potentially right now looking towards a feminine energy. You are potentially even recognizing this is a moment for the masculine where it is all about the intentionality of the feminine at this time. Because the masculine right now, even if you're trying to move into partnership at this moment, you may be looking right now and you may be observing that something about this is about the feminine energy maintaining a level or degree of stability through this. Now, the interesting thing about this right now is for some of the masculine energy, this is something that you appreciate and you aspire to. It's the recognition that you may have put a lot on the back of this energy. You may have told them a lot. And this may be your observation and recognition that what feminine is effectively asking you for right now is trying to build something stable. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this could feel like a bit more of a triggering energy because this could be a moment that you are feeling that the feminine energy is effectively only concentrating on their own stability as opposed to yours. This is why in the partnership right now, I keep saying that having this moment or level, if you're trying to move into partnership and being very open and forthright to each other, is going to be very valuable and important. Because what we're really seeing here right now is this is, again, we keep seeing feminine that is building a point of saying that beyond anything else that they desire right now, they are seeking stability. They're maintaining their stability throughout all. This is effectively creating a state or space with feminine that if something feels like it cannot build that stable, supportive environment, feminine is effectively rejecting it. So in the energies right now, trying to come into partnership, this is what is effectively happening. This is masculine. Feminine's asking masculine to do something right now and being willing and ready to relinquish the partnership. Feminine hasn't moved out of this modality they've been in since the beginning of the Venus in retrograde cycle. They're willing to forego the partnership if it's going to affect their own sense of stability. Feminine, you're effectively in this modality right now if you're experiencing something with masculine, which is why you're effectively coming into this modality where, again, it's hard for you to open up. Because feminine is effectively trying to come into a space of feeling safe enough to be vulnerable to open up to masculine, but they're still keeping their focus on stability at this time. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is the saving grace of the feminine right now. This is the saving grace of the feminine, which is why we see that the feminine is now either, again, going to be moving away from something that isn't creating a sense of an opportunity for partnership at this time, or accepting the situation as a situation and moving potentially towards it, because it's all going to have to deal with the fact of the feminine asking themselves where their stability lies, what makes them feel stable at this time. For feminine energy right now, this is going to feel like, again, we almost see a segmentation point that's potentially happening right now. This is feminine energy going, I'm fine. I'm going to reject anything that isn't a divine union to concentrate on my point of stability. There could be another part of the feminine energy that right now that's saying, that's all right. I'm going to have to diminish who that person is in my life right now to be able to move towards them and just accept the fact that there will be nothing else between us. And that's the feminine also building that point of stability for themselves. The interesting thing about this right now for the feminine that's doing this is they're not, and I need to stress this, this is how the feminine's doing it in a way that they're not diminishing their own person. What they're actually doing is, if they're moving towards a masculine energy right now that isn't offering them the possibility of divine union, feminine energy is diminishing the masculine's value as it relates to the possibility of a partnership, because this isn't a feminine that is abandoning the possibility of a divine union. This is feminine energy moving towards something while still holding that and accepting something for what it is. Masculine energy right now that is in separation, this is again a moment that you yourself are trying to build a lot of this internal support for yourself at this moment. For half of the masculine collective right now, this was a moment that you abandoned an opportunity at potential partnership for your own autonomy. Now you're discovering you don't like being in that point of autonomy. Now you're realizing that you're actually trying to nuance what it is that you truly want. For masculine right now, you're potentially recognizing that you potentially, if you're in a point of autonomy, you need something that feels a little bit strange, a little bit unconventional. You're now looking and seeking a feminine energy that will be stable enough to be able to navigate whatever it is that is. This is the manifestation that's moving from a point of autonomy right now to focusing on a feminine energy that is effectively would be comfortable with whatever strange, unconventional dynamic that masculine energy effectively would require in order to maintain or hold their own level or degree of autonomy at this moment. Recognizing, and masculines even recognizing, that in order to do that, they're going to have to be very open about that. This isn't something that you can kind of like slip in the back door. You can't like slide this envelope under. You have to be very upfront as it relates to this right now. Masculine's going through this right now as they're now working to manifest this. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is that moment that, again, you are focusing right now on the energy that you are trying to move into divine partnership with at this time. The problem is you are seeing all of the hurdles to come towards that energy. For half of the masculine energy right now, this could be a backing away point. This could be a moment that you're looking at that energy and saying, I think it's good. I think there's too much there. There's too many difficulties. There's too many hurdles. You're seeing the feminine energy at that point of stability, and this is potentially another one of your breaking off points. For the other part of the masculine energy right now, it is potentially seeing that feminine energy at this point of stability that's driving you forward towards it. Regardless of like whatever chaos may ensue in the process, you're effectively just saying like you're willing to like overcome any of these hurdles to move towards it. So again, another breaking off point right now with masculine energy that's seeing the feminine energy and this vibration if this is what you're trying to move to at this time. Continuing to get clarification on the Hierophant in its reversal in combination with the Magician. Clarification coming through right now with our 8 of Cups in its reversal. We like to see this right now because this is effectively helping to navigate everyone right now. Even the partnered energies that are going through some difficulties or some hurdles at this time, this is effectively what you're confirming to one another, which is a point of saying like, regardless of what unconventional approaches we need to take to go forward, we are committing to the path ahead. We are not moving away from this partnership. We're going to work together to navigate and do what we need to do to preserve the partnership at all costs. For the other part, for the energy right now that's trying to come into partnership, this is more of that energy in terms of asking if this is going to be a make or a break point. Because this is a point where we are also seeing that there's a lot of observation being paid to how one is acting, watching the other person to see if they're showing some indication of being able to do the things necessary to come into partnership. The problem that is happening right now is there is anxiety that there's something in these that someone does not want to walk away from. Feminine could effectively be asking masculine to walk away from something right now. We're still at that same standstill that we saw we were in over the last few days. Feminine asking masculine, saying, you have to walk away from this to show me that there's a potential of partnership here. Masculine's looking at feminine right now and saying, I need you to be open. I need you to do the same. I need you to also show me, because their resistance to being open feels like you are also holding back. So again, a lot of this make or break point right now as it relates to the energies trying to come into partnership. For masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, this is effectively the work that we're seeing happening. For feminine right now, this is that point of another split that's effectively occurring right now, because feminine energy is effectively looking right now at a circumstance or situation that they're still holding on to, that they're recognizing does not hold the possibility or potentiality of actual partnership or commitment, but also feeling the need or the desire not to move away from it. And feminine energy is deciding which direction to fall on that. Is that something that they're going to move towards with the acceptance points, that it's not going to be a partnership situation per se? Potentially something that feels more like a situationship? Or is this something that feminine is rejecting that and just moving forward, committed to finding that path of divine union? While for masculine right now, this is also a point that, again, if this is a masculine that's choosing to maintain their level or degree of autonomy above all things right now, this is a point that is also creating a point of recalibration, because it's not what you're trying to create at this moment, it's how you're trying to create it. You're realizing the paradox right now between you trying to make something, to move into something, but not articulating upon it in a way that's allowing it to come into manifestation. So you are recognizing right now that you need to take some unconventional approaches, and this is a point of resistance right now, because you recognize, again, by articulating like this, it's going to feel kind of vulnerable, because it's something that either energy around you can take or they can leave. This isn't about kind of trying to move in a space or place where you're giving a false promise of commitment at this moment. Masculine, if you're moving in this vibration right now, you're recognizing that you are effectively now trying to have to move in a way that you're going to have to be very open from the start as it relates to what it is you truly seek, which is going to feel unconventional. And you're recognizing now the full scope of the fact that, like, the trigger point for you, the trauma, is the recognition that there's a bit of an abandonment wound there, because you recognize that it's not necessarily going to be everyone's cup of tea. While for the masculine energy right now that's trying to move back to feminine energy that isn't, that they would desire divine union in, this is that moment that feels so difficult, because you're effectively even recognizing and realizing right now that in order to move towards that energy, not only are you going to have to take some unconventional approaches, but you are also potentially, this could even be for some of the masculine energy right now, looking at the circumstances and situations around some of this and really saying, do I want to go in and disturb something? Do I want to go in and disturb something? For some of the masculine collective right now, this, because you're seeing that this feminine energy that you're potentially trying to move towards right now is at a point of deep stability, and that they've been moving on, that they weren't necessarily in a space or place that you left them, that they continued forward. So again, for half of the masculine collective right now, there's that point of observation and saying, I would have to disturb something to come towards that energy. I'm going to leave it alone. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is you looking at that and saying, I'm going to have to disturb something, but I can't move away from it. So I'm going to do that. Continuing to take clarification on these cards right now, between our Sun card in combination with our Queen of Pentacles. Clarification coming through right now with the Chariot in its reversal. Now it's going to feel a little bit different depending on where you are in the collective right now. If you are in a partnership at this moment, this is that point of observation. There is a disparity that's effectively happening right now. For the partnered energies, there's something that needs and requires realignment, because what are we seeing here? We're seeing that there's a feeling of some general chaos right now, because it feels like everyone's pulling in a different direction. That's what we saw this whole week effectively leading up to, and it's almost like reaching a crescendo today, as everyone's got like different obligations in the partnership that needs to be addressed. Masculine is effectively working right now with feminine on this, potentially helping the feminine come into a space of deeper stability at this time. But again, for both energies, there's effectively some point of observation being reached in terms of how to go forward with a sense or state of deeper easement here. There's something here that feels like it needs to be corrected. Feminine is doing their best right now to maintain a point of stability for the energy around them right now and staying positive. Masculine, you're effectively seeing this in partnership right now, and that's also creating this state of support. It's not the fact that there isn't a lot of chaos around this energy right now. It's almost recognizing and appreciating that this is a feminine energy that can navigate really well through chaos. And that in itself is what's further assisting this. The deeper question at hand, though, is how to correct this right now to move out of the state of chaos. And here we actually see that this could be a little bit of a resistance point, because feminine is potentially not necessarily being as adaptable as masculine as it relates to taking some of these unconventional approaches, because this is very grounded energy. Sometimes this grounded energy can be a little too grounded, can be a little too set in their ways, as it were. Masculine may even be trying to help feminine energy take more dynamic approaches to things to be able to do this, while feminine may be trying to ask masculine to do the opposite. Feminine may be trying to plant the masculine's feet on the ground and be practical in a way that they don't necessarily feel like they are. Partnered energy is coming into partnership right now. This is more of that challenging space. This is more of that challenging space because what we're effectively seeing is this is that make or break point as it relates to whether these partnerships can actually come into union or not. Masculine and feminine energy, you guys have landed upon something that you feel like you guys are not moving in unison. There's potentially even an argument right now in the direction or the approach on things. Feminine is now digging their heels in. They're saying that they're not going to sacrifice their stability. And again, this is either a moment that is either going to create a breakaway point of feminine, or basically saying, I'm going to focus on myself and stay optimistic because this isn't showing the possibility of coming into a state of easement. Or masculine feeling like this is a very, like a feminine that's showing some level or degree of closure, that they're not opening up to the masculine. Or this is going to be a moment of productivity. This is going to be a moment of articulation. This is going to be a moment of actually explaining to the other person what is going on to maintain a point of optimism. I got to say that if you are in this space or place right now, if you are going through this, being able to be open with one another and fully open and expressive is going to help pave the way, and making sure that that articulation point is not even where you are at this moment, but where you aspire to be, is also going to help a lot at this time. While for the masculine and feminine energy that is in separation at this time, what we're effectively seeing that is happening is a fact that, again, for the feminine energy, this is about feminine asking themselves what is going to make them feel stable and what is going to make them feel happy. For some of the feminine collective right now, I'm even going to stress this, some of the feminine collective today could be going back to situations and circumstances where there isn't a commitment being offered. But I need to tell you that if the feminine's doing that right now, it's because they're changing their opinion of the dynamic. That there's something here where the feminine energy is effectively withdrawing their energy and they're effectively moving towards it, but they don't see anything coming from it. They don't see any hope for it. They're just kind of moving in a state or space of accepting it for what it is, but also not necessarily allowing or removing their own manifestation goal. This is how the feminine energy may be moving for some part of the collective. The other part of the collective right now, this is a firm rejection of that. This is feminine energy saying, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not investing my time and energy in anything that is not moving in the direction that I aspire to go. And it is that moment we're seeing that is also creating a point of feminine coming back into a state of catharsis today, feeling and working on their own sense of stability at this time. Masculine in separation right now, this is again, for the masculine that is working through right now, identifying your own role in your need for autonomy, but also recognizing that that need for autonomy isn't necessarily actually a need for autonomy, because we've seen here in the cards, you've had that autonomy, you don't like that autonomy. It's more about articulating what it is that you truly seek as it relates to union energy. This is that moment that you are basically identifying or almost trying to manifest for yourself what that would look like in a feminine manifestation. Like what type of energy would be accepting and accommodating of that. And you're almost using that manifestation to help guide you forward right now from a point of personal uncertainty. While for For the masculine collective right now that is trying to move back towards feminine energy that they now desire divine union with, this is, again, we've got one of two different modalities coming into play. We either have here masculine energy that is observing a feminine that looks like they are very grounded. They look like they are very stable. They look like they are very happy. And they are at that point of recognizing and saying, I don't think there's any possibility of coming back in, because you effectively left that feminine energy in a state or space where you thought that time was going to be on your side to like allow for a point of easement, and that has not been the case. Instead, this has been a feminine that's just kind of progressed and advanced and is now in a different space than you. This could potentially be you moving away from this with that sense of loss or regret. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is exactly what's driving you towards this energy. This is like giving me like a lot of like by hook or by crook. This is giving a lot of energy of someone being like, I see this energy and they look stable and they look happy, and you know, I know that there is this is more about you trying to say, how can I start to move back towards them? How can I start to move back towards them? So again, two different modalities right now with this masculine that's seeing these. It's like, again, I keep describing, this is like seeing a feminine manifestation that you desire that has a gauntlet in front of them. Some people are looking at it and being like, oh no, I can't do that. The other part of the masculine energy is looking at it like, oh look, like there's a moat with crocodiles in it. I just need to figure out how to get over the moat with the crocodiles in it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Pentacles in combination with our Eight of Cups in its reversal. Can I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Seven of Cups. Okay? Masculine and feminine in partnership right now. This is good. We like to see this in the partnered energies, because what we're really seeing here that's supportive and appreciative right now is the fact that for masculine and feminine energy that's in partnership at this time, this is a point of taking new approaches, right? And this is what I'm trying to point out. Masculine, what is masculine doing to the feminine? This is a feminine energy that's very resistant to change. The problem right now in partnership is this is feminine energy very resistant to change. They're very like caught in their groove. They're very resistant to making any changes. Today, masculine is potentially moving right now in a space or in a point of trying to open the possibilities. This is productive because it's very sweet in a way. It's almost like not necessarily trying to say to the feminine, like maybe you're a little too stuck in your ways, but it's more being like, look at all these different ways you could be doing this. Look at all these different approaches we could be taking. Feminine is potentially looking at masculine right now in partnership and being like, no, like that's too much. Like feminine, the problem with this is when feminine views things like this, it's feeling more like a point of overwhelm. So for the masculine and feminine partnership right now, it's trying to find that happy medium between like feminine becoming a bit more dynamic and changing their kind of like groove, and masculine, you know, potentially, you know, trying to like carefully move in that space where it's like you're not bringing in a sense of overwhelm as it relates to kind of presenting all of the different opportunities or possibilities at this time. Because this is almost the difference of opinion that we're effectively seeing right now happening in the partnership. While for masculine and feminine right now, that is working into partnership or union, this is that moment that, again, opportunity or lack thereof. Feminine, again, I'm going to say this, the feminine right now wants the masculine to take some action because something about what masculine presented to them feels like masculine is keeping their options open. Feminine is continuing to hold on this right now and really kind of trying to articulate and say that the only way they can kind of move forward in this way is if masculine shows this ability, shows this capacity of being able to make a choice. Masculine, for your part right now, you are feeling right now the frustration of the feminine being in a state or space where you also don't feel like the feminine has effectively chosen you, because you're feeling like them asking you to do these things makes it feel more conditional. So again, being able to understand right now that this is something where you are both unified in your goals in terms of what you desire, as opposed to getting very caught up in how you choose to get there, is going to be very important, because there is something about a point or need of understanding and compromise for the energies that are trying to come into partnership at this time. Now, one of the things that we're also seeing right now is identifying and understanding that in separation right now, this is that moment that we're really seeing that is requiring a lot of work in separation. For feminine energy at this time, in separation, you are effectively operating and moving right now with a point of asking yourself, what makes you feel stable? This is how feminine in separation is grounding themselves right now. Feminine is just grounding themselves like crazy right now if you're in separation, specifically because this is, again, the articulation of the feminine not wanting to walk away from something, but being uncertain what to do in the midst of it. Feminine energy is almost like opening themselves up to new opportunities, new approaches. This is either, again, a feminine energy that's starting to move forward again. This is that point of the feminine saying, I'm going to continue to look forward in terms of relating to the divine union, the divine partnership. Or this is feminine energy potentially opening them up to something that they don't feel is actually leading them to what they want, but is becoming more something that feels like something that isn't necessarily their heart's desire, but just something that they're coming into a point of acceptance on. Right? And it's like that in a moment is almost hard because, again, that's effectively causing them to have to diminish the energy that they're trying to move to if the energy isn't showing the possibility or the desire of partnership. It's almost like saying, like, I have to devalue you. I have to make you one of many in order to be able to, like, have you in my life at all. Now, for masculine energy right now, and this is that struggling point for feminine, but feminine's also concentrating on their point of stability as they do this and as they decide how to proceed. Now, for masculine that is moving right now at this point in separation, again, this is either a masculine energy that is choosing their autonomy over all. You are right now trying to figure out how to articulate by manifesting the type of feminine energy that would be effectively able and understanding of what it is that you're hopefully seeking right now. And this is you effectively trying to articulate this within the self right now so that you can start to articulate it to those around you. Well, for the masculine energy right now that is trying or focused right now on a particular manifestation of feminine that you are now desiring to come into divine union with at this time, this is, again, a moment that is either showing a point of you effectively abandoning that quest, abandoning that journey, basically saying there's too many blockers, there's too many points of resistance here. I'm not sure I can do that. I'm not sure I can move towards that anymore. Or this is you effectively looking at this and going, I'm going to move forward towards this. I just need to figure out the way. There's a refusal to move away and saying, I just need to figure out the way. This energy today is weird. Final card for today's spread between our Chariot in its reversal in combination with our Seven of Cups. So, again, all energies right now, an observation of what's not working and open possibilities to make something work. So this is kind of productive, though it can be a little overwhelming. It could feel more like a huge hurdle, or it could feel like productive, creative environment in which to come up with new possibilities. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Three of Pentacles in its reversal. Let's just start from square one. Let's just get to the bare bones of something. Let's just get to, like, right where we need to be. Masculine and feminine energy right now. What we're seeing in partnership is there's almost like this feeling of, like, taking absolutely new approaches right now. It's like there's something here that's almost like asking you to kind of like start from square one. But I think that the interesting thing about it that we're seeing is almost like a conversation that you're having right now as it relates to how to do so. You know, like there's something here that's kind of saying, like, almost like okay, like pie in the sky at where do we go from here if we didn't have any of these obligations, if we didn't have any of these, like, these things, these limitations hurdling us, like, what is it that we're truly seeking? And let's just build from there. That's almost like how the conversation right now in partnership is occurring. And it's requiring a moment that it both either feels overwhelming or feels like new ground. And again, the problem right now is for the masculine and feminine, depending on where you fall right now. This is either a moment that feels like a fun opportunity, right? Like a fun project, or it's feeling completely overwhelming. This is the problem right now in the partnership. There may even be an articulation about two different people having two very different opinions on this at this time. Now, while for masculine and feminine energy that is working to try to come into partnership right now, this is more that make or break, my friends. Like I told you, today is a lot of this make or break, which is like, again, is this a new start? Is this something that we can start from the beginning? Or are all of those things that are around us right now, all those distraction points, are these going to be the hurdles? Is this a new start? Or is this energy that's keeping their options open? This is what both energies are trying to identify right now in partnership. And it's requiring new approaches to be able to handle it. While for masculine and feminine in separation right now, feminine right now, this is that moment that we're seeing that, again, the feminine is potentially caught in two different modalities right now if they're in separation, which is, again, observing something that they can't move forward on right now, not feeling that need to move forward on it. And again, either leaving it behind, starting from scratch, putting that behind them, or having to like take that energy and just effectively try to diminish it in their own eyes so that they can keep their options open for what it is that they're truly seeking. Which is hard. These are two different modalities that are very hard for the feminine. This is like effectively, this is feminine. I have to look at an energy and saying the only way I can keep you in my life is if I diminish you. If I look at you as one of many because you're not moving us towards what I would ideally aspire to. While for masculine and feminine, for masculine right now in separation, what we're effectively seeing is, again, this is a moment that you're trying to articulate on what it is you're actually wanting. If you chose autonomy for yourself, this is a moment that you're really trying to figure out what it is that you're actually wanting, what it is that you're actually seeking, because you know now that it's not autonomy, and it's requiring a whole new approach as you start moving forward again. While for masculine right now that is trying to move back towards an energy of feminine, this is, again, that moment that you're looking and you're asking yourself, is this something that is even possible and available at this time? Is it impossible? Or is this an opportunity for a new start? Bottom of the deck for today's reading. Queen of Wands. There she is. Okay, so what are we seeing right now? This is the thing with the Queen of Wands energy. And again, it's going to have a little bit of a different impact depending on where you are in the collective. Queen of Wands energy is a very activated energy. It's feminine, that's really kind of accomplishing or driven in terms of their goals and what they desire and aspire to do. In partnership right now, again, this is creating a bit of a conflict point, even in partnership, because again, there's something here that feels like a bit oppositional between like what masculine needs to do right now and what feminine needs to do. Feminine may even be kind of learning the ropes and how to do this in partnership. Feminine may be coming and finding this right now in partnership in a way that they haven't before, and it's taking a little bit of work to master their own ability to like set the course for themselves, to be able to like be articulate, to be able to plan. This could be a bit of a challenging space in partnership right now. While in trying to come into partnership right now, the feminine in this modality is a bit of the challenging space, because this can either be looked at as very passionate, productive energy, or it can be very intimidating. So the wrong masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels the most aligned to, this can feel like very intimidating energy, depending on how you perceive it. And the same thing right now in separation. For feminine energy right now, holding into this, coming into this alignment of this right now is very hard, because we see here that there's a rigidness right now that feminine is just trying to work on feeling stable again, which is making it hard for the feminine to activate or articulate at this fashion. This is almost feminine energy in separation right now that's just doing everything they can to just feel stable. While for masculine right now, if you're in separation, this is that moment of what you're potentially trying to move towards at this time. This is that aspiration that you're trying to potentially seek. For the masculine energy that is moving in a state or space of autonomy, this is almost creating an energy that'll be able to match you because they match your own masculine energy. And for the masculine energy right now that is trying to move towards a feminine, this could be the recognition of the fact that this energy either feels like something that you are gravitating towards or intimidates you. And even now you're going back and forth in terms of how to respond to that. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never reach out to you for a reading. I will never inbox you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your DMs and tell you that I have a very special message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you so much for being here with me and sharing with me in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.